In the past 46 YouTube videos, I've taken you along on my fall pandemic trip around Europe. Now, after 56 days of non-stop travel from Poland to Ukraine to the islands of Micronesia, it was time to head home to Canada. From A Coruña, Spain, I would travel to Madrid's Barajas International Airport. There, I would have a short 1-hour layover before proceeding onward to Lisbon, Portugal. From Lisbon, I would fly overnight to the city of Dublin, Ireland, where I had arranged a very cheap $250 ticket on KLM to get me back to Canada. From Dublin, I would fly to the city of Amsterdam, Netherlands, where I had a 4-hour layover before boarding my flight back across the Atlantic to my home in the western Canadian city of Calgary.
We got time on our side, we're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way.
I've landed in Madrid, Spain. I have a 1-hour layover here, so I'm going to head to the airport lounge and try to enjoy that for at least a short time. My flight to Lisbon is now boarding, so I really have to motor it along. It was a bit ambitious going to the lounge to get a lunch, but at least it's done with. And I'm fed for free. Still got about a 6-minute or 7-minute walk to the gate, so hopefully they don't close it. I don't think they will, because boarding just commenced right now. So I basically just have to walk to the very end of this terminal here. It's not too much further. It's only been 4 minutes since they started boarding, so I should be okay. Looking forward to getting back to Canada, though. It's been a long 2 months. I am boarding the flight to Lisbon for the second time in 2 weeks. Heading back to Lisbon to catch a Ryanair flight, which leaves tonight to Dublin, Ireland. I only paid 40 euros for that ticket, so it's worth it for me to use a points ticket here to get back to Lisbon and then board that flight, because that's where my cheap ticket back home to Canada leaves from.
We got everything here, at least to stay alive, and the time that we share makes it all worthwhile. Got this place on our own. Do you feel that we got something strong? And I saw you walking the line, and the truth may come as a surprise that with you I feel alive. You'll be the last one I think about.
All right, heading up to the airport lounge for about an hour and a half, and then going to fly to Dublin, Ireland. I've had that mask on for about 7 hours, so I'm suffocating here, but free food in the lounge.
We got time on our side, we're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way.
Well, I have landed here at Dublin Airport, and I have a 5-hour layover, basically. 5 hours till boarding, at least. So just like the UK, they forced me to go through immigration here, so very unusual. But I'm in Ireland, so not allowed to leave the airport or anything, and I wouldn't want to anyway at midnight, so I'm gonna bide my time, maybe get some editing done if I can find a place to relax, and then go back through security when it opens up at 3:30 a.m. Then onto the gate. The lounges, unfortunately, won't be open by the time my flight leaves.
And I saw you walking the line, and the truth may come as a surprise that with you I feel alive. You'll be the last one I think about.
So going to spend my layover here at the Aspire Lounge at the Amsterdam airport. Again, free admission with priority pass. Yeah, there's no hot dishes or anything, unfortunately, but most of the things in this lounge are individually wrapped. So they got the cutlery sets, bread rolls and croissants individually wrapped. Looks like chocolate cake or something. Meat, cheese, yogurt. Hashtag travel. Pretty basic spread, but at least they're offering something. All right, I'm racing to the gate to Calgary here. The flight leaves in 50 minutes. Going home, everybody. So you can see when you're pretty much the only flight that leaves twice a week to Calgary from Europe, it's full. So I'm assuming it's going to be maybe not completely full, but 3/4 of the way full at least. I've been up for like 35 hours now, so getting a little bit delirious, but a lot of coffee to keep me going, thankfully. 8.5, 9 hours in the air, and I'll be back home. So 2 months. Crazy how fast the time goes.
I saw you walking the light, and the truth may come as a surprise that with you I feel alive. You will be the last one to think about, the last one to think about.
So you can see this is something that I've never seen before, and this is the way that KLM is coping with their pandemic situation. They give you this big plastic bag full of crackers and cheese, chocolate bars, cans of Coke. Looking down at Greenland right now. Massive rivers of ice. Just landed in Calgary Airport. Now I gotta go get the COVID test on arrival for a 2-day quarantine versus the 14-day quarantine. So I just participated in the pilot program here at the Calgary International Airport. They are giving COVID tests on arrival here, and it's actually a pretty straightforward and streamlined process. The entire process took about 1 hour and 30 minutes or so from immigration to customs to getting the test. Now I have to wait 2 days in isolation and quarantine to await the results. If they're negative, I'm allowed to leave my house and go about my business, but I do have to return for a second test on the 6th or the 7th day at a local drugstore. And if that test comes back negative, then quarantine is pretty much over after the second day of quarantine. So pretty good. It reminded me a lot of Madeira in terms of how it's done. The only difference is in Madeira it's done outside, and in the Azores it's done outside, and here they do it indoors. So I don't know if there's any, reason, probably just the climate. It's so cold here in Canada. Thankfully, I'm back in the country, I'm back home in Canada, and I don't have to worry about 14-day quarantine potentially. So we'll see what happens in 2 days, but I feel great, so I'm assuming it's going to be negative. That said, yeah, I think this pilot project is a good idea, and I hope this becomes the norm across every airport in Canada very soon.